The first indicator I would like to talk about is the BalticDry versus the commodity index. It's a commodity indicator, and first of all, let's talk about the BalticDry index. The BalticDry index basically measures major shipping routes around the world and the traffic in those, the prices for the traffic in those shipping routes, and you can see that here in the chart in orange. That's the BalticDry, and in black is the commodity index, which is made up out of most major commodities. And if you compare the two, and this is a chart, by the way, is over the last 20 years, shows the last 20 years. Then you can see in these little areas with the little circles. Let me just highlight that again here. Is one, then the second, and then right now we're also at this point. What you can see is most of the time the commodity indicator and the BalticDry correlate very strongly. You see this over long periods of time, and then all of a sudden they go apart, and then they correlate very, very strongly again, and then they move apart. What we do know is that they eventually always come back together again, and the only thing that's really difficult is the timing. So the reason the BalticDry as a shipping index is so interesting for commodities is because it mainly measures the transport of commodities, and that is coal, grain, and iron ore, for example. And therefore it is very important for commodities. Now, of course, the BalticDry depends somewhat on how much shipping capacity is available. So if there's been overcapacity built, as in recent years, then that of course has an effect on the index as well. But in general, nevertheless, if there's a fairly high consumption of commodities, you should nevertheless at least see stable prices. But what we've seen here recently, and you can see this here, it's been a dramatically falling off, so that that is fairly unusual. And what we would expect now is at some point, and as I said, the timing is a bit difficult, but at some point we want to see this come back down again, and on the other hand, we want to see this come back up again until they finally meet, so that we at some point can expect to short commodities and then go long on the shipping index or shipping stocks. Now, of course, this could go sideways, like over here, for quite some time, but nevertheless, it does stop then to rise at some point. And as you can see in this example over here, in the middle of the 90s, this can take sometimes 2 to 3 years before they come back together. But so that's a pretty good indicator for peaks in commodity prices. Is the commodity versus the BalticDry shipping, and that's just something or one of those indicators I would pay attention to.